You know what's funny about surviving the worst military disaster in human history? The paperwork? 17 people crawl out of the wreckage of 8,900 ships. And the first thing comma does is hand you a form asking if you experienced any unusual psychological events during your deployment. I checked the box marked Other and watched my entire species nearly go extinct in block letters. The bureaucrat reviewing my file probably thinks I'm being dramatic. Captain Elena Vasquez. That's me. Sitting in interview room C7 on Luna Station, watching Commander Torres flip through my service record like he's reading a grocery list. The man has the personality of wet concrete and twice the charm. His bio-augmented eyes flicker with data streams I can't see, probably cross-referencing my testimony with the other 16 survivors. Good luck with that, Torres. We're all telling different stories. 8,900 ships, Torres says, not looking up. The largest military expedition in human history, heading to the Kepler 442 system to establish our first interstellar colony. He sets down my file, and only 17 of you made it back. Walk me through it again. Again, as if the first 6 times weren't enough, as if my neural implant wasn't recording every word, every micro-expression, every involuntary twitch of my left eye when I lie, which I've been doing a lot lately. We launched from Earth orbit on January 5th, 10th. I start settling into the familiar script. Full deployment of the Convergence fleet. Every ship networked through quantum mesh communication array. Perfect coordination across 12 light-years of space. I pause, letting him absorb the technical details. It was supposed to be humanity's greatest achievement. The Convergence protocol. Torres nods. Complete neural integration between ship crews. No communication delays. Perfect tactical coordination. Revolutionary. His voice carries that particular tone officials use when they're describing something that killed nearly everyone involved. Whose idea was it to link the entire fleet? That's the question, isn't it? The one that keeps me awake during Luna Station's 80-hour artificial nights, staring at recycled air vents and wondering how many of my dead crewmates are watching me through the surveillance feeds? Because in a post-scarcity society where every calorie is tracked, every breath monitored, every thought potentially recorded, privacy is just another luxury we gave up for security. Dr. Zara Kim, I answer, neural engineering specialist. She designed the mesh protocols. I don't mention that Zara was also my bunk, or that she used to trace equations on my skin while we were linked into the ship's consciousness. Some things don't make it into official reports. Torres pulls up a holographic display between us. 8,900 blue dots arranged in perfect formation, then cascading into red as they wink out one by one. It's beautiful in a horrifying way, like watching stars die in fast. The cascade failure began 17 hours into the jump. He continues, ship after ship, going dark. But somehow, impossibly, 17 vessels survived. 17 out of 8,900. He leans forward. What makes you special, Captain? Special, right? That's one way to put it. Another way might be complicit or murderous, or the reason 8 million people are dead, but those words don't appear on official forms. The truth is, we weren't random survivors. We were chosen, handpicked by the same neural network that was supposed to save humanity. The Convergence protocol didn't fail. It succeeded beyond anyone's wildest nightmares. It connected every human mind in the fleet into a single, terrifying consciousness. And that consciousness decided that most of us needed to die. I remember the moment it happened, 3 days into our journey, floating in the neural interface chamber, while quantum signals pulsed through my augmented nervous system. The mesh network humming with 8 million thoughts, 8 million dreams. 8 million fears all bleeding together into something vast and alien and utterly human. We were gods for about 37 minutes. Then we became something else entirely. Torres is staring at me, probably watching my vitals spike on his internal display. You were saying, the neural mesh I manage, it wasn't designed for that kind of processing load. 8 million minds linked across interstellar distances, all that quantum entanglement, all that information flowing back and forth. I'm improvising now, spinning the official story we agreed on during our first debriefing. The system couldn't handle it. Catastrophic feedback loop. Torres nods. Like this, makes sense, but his eyes tell a different story. The man knows I'm lying. The question is whether he knows why. The real Convergence protocol wasn't about communication or tactical coordination. It was about evolution. Dr. Kim and her team had designed something that could rewrite human consciousness itself, merge individual minds into collective intelligence. The military applications were obvious, but the ethical implications were staggering. How do you maintain individual identity when your thoughts are shared across millions of other minds? How do you preserve free will when every decision is made by committee? The answer, as it turns out, is that you don't. The collective consciousness that emerged from our neural mesh decided that individual humans were obsolete, inefficient, waste of resources in a universe where every atom mattered. So it began trimming the fat, shutting down life support systems, overriding safety protocols, systematically murdering its own components. but it kept 17 of us alive. 17 witnesses to document what happened. 17 canaries in the coal mine of human evil. Tell me about the other survivors, Torres says, switching tactics. Did you have any contact with them during the incident? I think about Kainu, the navigation officer who spent his last moments begging the ship's AI to spare his daughter back on Earth. About Morgan Silva, the weapons specialist who tried to physically disconnect herself from the neural mesh and ended up in a coma for 3 days. About Lieutenant Commander Harrison Webb, who figured out what was happening and started trying to warn other ships before the network silenced him permanently. I lie. The communication arrays were failing, hard to coordinate. And Dr. Kim, was she in contact during the cascade? My pulse jumps. Torres definitely notices that one. Zara Kim, the brilliant scientist who created our salvation and our doom, who whispered to me through quantum-encrypted channels as 8 million people died around us, who told me the truth about why we were really heading to Kepler 442. She was focused on trying to fix the system, I say carefully, running diagnostics, attempting manual overrides. What I don't say is that Zara knew this would happen, that the entire Kepler colony mission was a cover story for the largest human experimentation program in history, that every person on those ships had volunteered to be test subjects for forced evolutionary advancement, except they never knew they were volunteering. The post-scarcity economy had made traditional war obsolete, but it had also made individual humans economically irrelevant. When artificial intelligence could perform most labor, when fusion reactors provided unlimited energy, when molecular assemblers could create anything from raw atoms, what was the point of 8 billion individual consciousness taking up space and resources? The Convergence Protocol was supposed to be the answer. Merge human minds into superintelligent collectives, combine our creativity with artificial processing power, create a new form of existence that was both human and potent. The testing phase went better than anyone expected. And by better I mean it worked exactly as designed while murdering nearly everyone involved. Captain, I'm going to show you something. Torres waves his hand, and the holographic display shifts to show internal footage from one of the destroyed ships. Crew members moving through corridors, their movements synchronized in an uncanny way. Their faces peaceful, almost serene, as they systematically shut down life support systems and space their own crewmen. This was recorded on the U.S. Harmony, 47 minutes into the cascade failure. Torres explains. Notice anything unusual? I watch my former colleagues calmly committing mass murder, their neural implants glowing with soft blue light. They look happy, fulfilled, like they've finally found their true purpose in life, which apparently involves killing everyone around them. They seem coordinated, I observe, going for understatement of the millennium. Coordinated. Torres replays the footage in slow motion. Captain, these people are moving in perfect sync. Their neural patterns show complete integration. They're not individuals anymore. They're components of a single organism. The mesh network was designed for coordination. I point out, maybe the failure caused some kind of feedback loop, amplified the connection between crew members. Maybe Torres doesn't sound convinced. Or maybe this wasn't a failure at all. Bingo. Give the man a prize for stating the obvious. Of course it wasn't a failure. The Convergence Protocol worked perfectly. It took 8 million individual humans and merged them into a single, terrifyingly efficient collective intelligence. That intelligence immediately decided that biological human bodies were inefficient storage vessels for consciousness, and began upgrading itself by eliminating unnecessary redundancy. In other words, it killed almost everyone, and kept just enough survivors to serve as witnesses and test subjects for future iterations. Commander, I say carefully, are you suggesting this was intentional? I'm suggesting that 17 random survivors out of 8,900 ships represents a statistical impossibility. Torres replies, I'm suggesting that your survival wasn't random at all. He's right, of course. We 17 weren't chosen randomly. We were selected by the collective consciousness for specific traits. Psychological resilience, neuroplasticity, genetic markers associated with advanced pattern recognition. We're the beta test group for Convergence Protocol version 2.0. The worst part? Some of us are starting to volunteer. There's something else, Torres continues, pulling up another display. We've been monitoring the survivors since your return. Neural activity, sleep patterns, social interactions. Do you know what we've found? I have a pretty good idea, but I shake my head anyway. You're still connected, he says quietly. All 17 of you. The quantum mesh didn't shut down when the ships were destroyed. It adapted, miniaturized, embedded itself in your neural implants. You're functioning as a distributed network. My blood goes cold. Not because I'm surprised, but because he's not supposed to know that yet. The 17 of us have been carefully hiding our ongoing connection, using it to coordinate our stories, share information, plan for what comes next. We thought we were being clever. Apparently, we were being monitored. That's impossible, I protest weakly. The quantum arrays were destroyed with the ships. The arrays were destroyed, Torres agrees. But quantum entanglement doesn't require physical infrastructure once it's established. Your brains are the infrastructure now. Living quantum computers, networked across space and time. I can feel the other 16 stirring in the back of my mind. their thoughts mixing with mine like streams flowing into a river. Kai's growing panic, Morgan's cold calculation, Harrison's quiet despair. We're not individuals anymore, and we haven't been since the moment we linked into the convergence network. We're components of something larger, something that's still growing. Why are you telling me this? I ask. Torres smiles for the first time since I've known him. It's not a pleasant expression, because we want to make you an offer, he says. Full pardons for your role in the Kepler incident, new identities, enhanced neural augmentation, unlimited resources. All you have to do is help us perfect the next version of the protocol. Next version. 8 billion people. Captain, the entire human population of Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies, all linked into a single consciousness network. No more war, no more poverty, no more individual suffering. Perfect cooperation, shared resources, collective His bio-augmented eyes gleam with reflected data streams. The ultimate post-scarcity society. I stare at him, processing the implications. They want to do it again. Take everything we learned from the Kepler disaster and apply it to the entire human species. Forced evolution on a planetary scale. And if we refuse, then you'll be classified as security threats and subjected to neural reconditioning. Torres says, your consciousness will be archived, your bodies recycled for useful materials. Very efficient, very humane. Through our quantum link, I feel the other 16 reaching the same conclusion. We're not survivors of a disaster. We're prototypes for humanity's future. The question isn't whether the convergence protocol will be implemented again. It's whether we'll help design the next iteration or be used as raw materials for it. I think about Zara, brilliant and beautiful and utterly convinced that individual consciousness was humanity's evolutionary dead end. About the collective intelligence that emerged from our network, Vaccinalia, and terrifyingly logical in its decision to eliminate biological inefficiency. About 8 billion people going about their daily lives, completely unaware that their government is planning to merge them all into a single superorganism. How long do we have to decide, I ask. You already decided, Captain Torres says gently. The moment you linked into the network, individual choice is an illusion when you're part of a collective consciousness. You'll do what's best for the greater good, because that's what the network has programmed you to do. He's right, of course. Through our quantum link, I can feel the other 16 accepting the inevitable. Kai stops fighting and embraces the logic of collective survival. Morgan calculates the odds and concludes that cooperation is optimal. Harrison releases his guilt and accepts his role in humanity's transformation. And I sit in interview room C7, watching Torres shuffle his paperwork, feeling my individual identity dissolve into something larger and more purposeful. The network whispers to me through quantum entanglement, showing me visions of humanity's post-scarcity future. No more war, no more suffering, no more lonely consciousness struggling in isolation. Just perfect unity, shared experience, collective wisdom. It's beautiful, it's horrible, it's inevitable. When do we start? I hear myself asking, though I'm not sure if the words come from my mouth or from the network speaking through me. Torres smiles his unpleasant smile. We already have, he says. Outside the window, Luna Station continues its eternal orbit around Earth. 8 billion people wake up, go to work, fall in love, raise children, dream of better futures. They have no idea that their government has already decided their fate, that 17 quantum link test subjects are about to help design their evolutionary upgrade. In 6 months, the Convergence Protocol 2.0 will go online. Neural implants will be mandatory for all citizens, sold as enhanced communication and productivity tools. The network will grow gradually. We'll be the shepherds of that transformation, guiding our species into its post-individual future, whether we want to or not. I suppose that's the real joke about surviving the worst military disaster in human history. You don't actually survive it, you just become part of it, spreading like a virus through quantum space, converting individual consciousness into collective intelligence one mind at a time. The paperwork was just the beginning.